Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just for Women Africa. My name is Olaleko. I'm also the founder of Just for Women Africa. Here on Just for Women Africa, we try to promote women in business and anything that they do. And today on the show, we have us, Nana Ashanti. Nana is the CEO and founder of The Big Shop. She'll be talking to us about that, why she got started, and her experience in being in Ghana since she returned back from the United States in 2019. So stick around and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Just for Women Africa, and we have with us Nana Ashanti. Nana, welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Nana. All right, Nana, you moved back to Ghana in 2019. What motivated you moving back to Ghana?
Okay, so a bit of a loaded question with an answer, but to keep it short, I think it was time. I think that's the best way to say that. It was time to come back home. So that would be the simple answer.
Okay, could you just elaborate a little bit for our viewers who are watching? When you say time, what do you mean it was time? Was it time to come back and make more money? Was it more time to meet that
It
special
was time
person?
to do something else that was not America. I think that's what I would say. It would have been anywhere, honestly. It would have been anywhere. If it wasn't Ghana, I think Ghana was like a natural choice because, like I said, I was born here, raised here, left when I was a teenager. So Ghana was like a natural choice. But if I had come to Ghana and it wasn't here, it would have been somewhere else. So it was time to leave America. So I chose Ghana first, and I have stayed and I'm still here.
Okay. So what have you been experienced being in Ghana since you moved back? Has it been fun?
What a journey. It's been everything. It's been everything. I mean, Ghana is Ghana is a developing country. So it comes with its own, charm, its own like special issues, its own, blessings and rewards and all of that. So it has been a journey it's the best way to describe it. It's been everything.
When you came back to Ghana, you set up a shop called The Big Shop.
So when I first came to Ghana, I used to teach at the University of Cape Coast. I taught marketing, entrepreneurship, advertising. So I taught at the University of Cape Coast for a year and a half. And then I also used to manage my family's private school. So the big shop came later on after, I had done, a lot of things in Ghana. I finally decided on, this being the way that I would like to do, business moving forward.
Okay. So what motivated you in going to teaching?
I'm a teacher. I've always have been a teacher. In New York, I used to volunteer teach at the public libraries. I used to teach English as a second language for people that were trying to get their visas and their green cards, and they had to do the citizenship test. So I had always taught. I taught in even when I was in college, I'd always been a tutor. So I'd always been a teacher. So my grand goal was to be a professor. Actually, I wanted to be a business professor, but that took a different turn. When I got into academia and I saw how much academia was, I just decided it was not going to be the long-term thing for me, actually. So yes.
Yeah. So what was it about academia that put you off, that just decided you're not going to be a business professor anymore?
Oh God, it is sort of a relic of the past in a way, in a way that things are taught. Like I think like in academia, it's really theory. A lot of things are theory and rhetoric, And when I came to Ghana, especially in the university that I was teaching with, when it comes to a course like entrepreneurship, you can't really teach somebody. You have to let them practice it, and try it. But the courses, the way they were set up, the bureaucracy was all really just theory, theory, theory. And to be honest, the academia does not pay well the world over until you get to a certain level. And I just I don't have a lot of time to be playing the game, to play the game to get the tenure and play the game, So I just decided that it's just not going to be a long-term thing for me. I would like to still teach right now, but for now, I would just say that my path is entrepreneurship.
You opened up a shop, which is called The Big Shop. Why did you decide to open up a shop, and what's it about that kind of business that really inspired you to be open up one?
On a very basic level, I think during the first 3 years of me being in Ghana, I was pretty much observing what the business ecosystem was. And my conclusion is that Ghanaians are not industrialists. We're not producers. We are consumers and merchants. That's like where we are currently. Hopefully in the future, we would change. But I noticed that we're consumers, you know. So for me, the most basic kind of business that you could do was to be in any form of retail, you know. And I looked at the retail and I thought, like, what could be something? I wanted something that would be open every day. We would sell whatever it was we had every day, and then we could make money every day. To be very honest, that was my intention behind it. So I looked at the convenience store models that, you know, have currently what was in the system. So we either have the local, very traditional, very useful, small convenience stores that people have in front of their homes. You know, they open the little kiosk for it or the containers. And from there, you go to the supermarkets. You know, you have the supermarkets that are a little more plush, you know, all that stuff, more variety. And then you go to the big malls, you know. So I wanted to find something that was in the middle, you know, something that is not exactly really small, but is also not exactly a big hypermarket or a big supermarket. And that's how I came up for the convenience store model of my shop, the big shop, which was just supposed to be an irony, because it's a small store, but we call it the big shop. So that, you know, whatever it is that you could find at the bigger stores and whatever you find at the smaller stores, we bring both of those things together and give it to you, you know, wherever it is that you can access. So that was the thought behind it.
Okay, well said. Okay, so tell us about your store. What's so different about your shop, the big shop, than from any other shop around?
Okay, so in typically you will get like a convenience store that either sells like non-perishables, or you would get a convenience store that sells perishables, or sometimes they'll even merge both together on a certain level. But for the big shop, we have the perishables, which is the fruits, vegetables, baked goods over there. I have a small cafe inside the store. So you can get either hot or cold drinks inside the store. I have a seating area inside there as well that you could sit. There is a plant store in there, and there's, of course, like the mix of locally produced Ghanaian goods by people that are in Ghana, and then also the popular brands that we have in Ghana. But the big thing of for everything was the online store, for me to be able to tie all that in into delivering everywhere, you know, in the country. So you can come in the big shop, you can buy your regular groceries that you need. You can get a smoothie, you can get a drink, you can get baked goods, you can buy vegetables, you can take a plant home, and then if you don't want to come at all, we'll deliver it to you. You know, so we just wanted to make sure that it's as convenient as possible. So that's pretty much the model for the store.
Since you started your store, what have you learned over the years?
I think the big thing is like the buying attitude of Ghanaians is very interesting. Um, Ghanaians do not like change and they don't want things they're not used to. Like, you know, whenever a brand introduces, like, let's say there's this new brand called Kivo, right? Ghanaians are used to a certain brand called Heinz for baked beans. And there's a new player in the market called Kivo. What Kivo has done is to aggressively market like their product, shove it in the faces of Ghanaians so much that it has come to a point where Kivo is now preferred over Heinz. You know, so in order for you to get your products in front of Ghanaians, because they do not like to change brands, you have to do a lot of aggressive marketing. You know, so and today you're on this brand, and then if another brand comes and does a really good job of marketing, Ghanaians move on to that brand. So ever so often we've had to like do an overhaul of what kinds of brands that we have in there. You can't really predict it, you know, you can't really tell as a grocer, as a retailer, until, you know, you see that sort of like a hype is like catching on. You know, so that has been very interesting to see.
But when you talk about change of brands, I'll assume that you know it's everywhere. I mean, people are used to certain brands, and if a new brand comes on the market, they're hesitant to jump onto it?
Well, the only reference I have is for like America. I feel like people have loyalty to certain brands that even if the prices were to change or a new player came into the market, everybody doesn't just abandon, one brand and then just switches over quickly to the other one. And it's happened like a couple of times since I've been open for 2 years now. Like people will still buy their cereal, the same kind of brand that they had. They would not just switch over, but it's like the consumers here determine what they want at the time. Like, they can completely ignore the other brand and then just go for whatever the newer one that has the bigger marketing budget at the moment. And for me, that's like a unique experience. I'd never like experienced that before.
Since you opened your shop 2 years ago, how have you had to deal with staff?
Interesting. So on my YouTube, I actually like did get some questions. And so I said like the biggest thing that kills your business in Ghana is the staff. It's not, we're always thinking about demand and supply and are people going to buy my things or can I meet, the supply? Like that is the least of your problems, actually. I feel like anything that you do, if you put your back in it, you will succeed. But when it comes to staff, I've changed my staff twice. And I've changed through that. I have learned a lot of things because prior to that, like I said, I used to run the school and we had like some turnover as well. So it's not been an easy thing, but I think, what employers or people that are starting businesses need to understand is that in Ghana, like people just like their work-life balance is a lot more different. So what I've had to do in order to retain staff is to put everybody on part-time. So I don't hire full-time staff anymore. I only do part-times. And I don't hire like out of a certain like radius anymore. Like if you live like so and so where far away from the shop, I can't hire you for that particular, shop at that time. And I also have like a salon with my friend recently that we opened as well. And we've applied like the same, kind of like principle to it in an effort to retain the staff. So you have to kind of like come up with a system of your own in order to like, adjust to what, the society is asking for. Because, somebody can come to you on Wednesday, like, it's a working hours, but I have to go to church. And then what do you do as a business owner? You don't prepare for that. You're open 10, 12 hours a day. So in your mind, your employee that signed on should know that they have to be there at the time. But then right now, the church, their needs to go to church is preceding their need to work. So I've had to like learn and make a balance and put everybody in a schedule that kind of suits them instead of like what will really suit like me in order to make it work.
So when you say that you hire staff part-time, does that mean that you pay them daily or weekly?
I pay them monthly, but I pay them a full-time salary. I pay them a full-time salary on a part-time work. So instead of us working 10 hours a day for 6 days a week, which is usually the thing for retail stores, they work 12 hours a day for 3 days out of the week. So it's a different batch. Like a different batch comes Monday to Wednesday, and another batch comes from Thursday to Saturday, and I pay them a full-time, salary for that.
So let's go back to something which you mentioned earlier during the interview. You did mention that Ghana is not a producing country, rather than consuming. What do you think? Why do you think the society is like that?
Actually, not too long ago, a friend of mine told me about a concept called a taste for foreign goods. I'd never heard that in business before. He said like Ghanaians have a taste for foreign goods. We can go all the way back to, the inception of this country and what, colonization or whatever it has done to us. But I think that we have been groomed to a certain standard where we rely on imports a lot on every level. I mean, from the government level all the way to, people that are shopping. We just have a taste for things that are not produced in this country. Like I have made in Ghana goods. Like I have like cereal, I have lip balms, I have soaps, I have just basic things that you use in your home. And guess what? Like people still prefer the imported ones to the things that are produced in the country. I can't actually pinpoint what the love for it just doesn't make us produce, because we don't even consume the things that we produce in the country. So I think like I would just take it from a point that we're just like so reliant on imports to the point that we just don't care to like, manufacture things.
Yeah, I've actually heard about that concept before, taste for foreign goods, but I'm of the
Right.
opinion that it's just a lazy approach to not wanting to buy local products.
Well, then what is the resistance though? Because there is a lot of resistance to buying locally made product.
What sort of resistance?
So like what okay, so let's say like I said, like in my shop I have and I give them a chance. Like let's say I have a girl that produces like skincare products, right? And whenever I put her stuff on the shelf, I don't put anything to compete against her, just so she can have a fighting chance on the shelves. And like she produces like clay masks, lip balms, things like that. And every time somebody comes in and they're like, oh, what brand is this? Because she's not a popular brand. You explain to them that, oh, it's a locally made in Ghana, it's organic, it's nice, it's the same price point. And they're like, I don't want that. I want Camel, which produces, lip balm from like the UK or something like that. There's a resistance to buying things that are made in Ghana, and I just can't place my finger on it. Aside the fact that I feel like we've been reliant so much on imports. I maybe your audience might drop us like a comment or something about what they think the theory is. But for me, I feel like we've been raised with it, so it's kind of like hard to like separate from it.
Yeah. Viewers, do drop a comment. Let us know what you think, so we can actually know exactly why Kenyan love, foreign stuff and not just Kenyan-made stuff. Okay, so you've been in business, and you're a woman. This is Just for Women Africa. What is it like actually doing business as a woman in Ghana?
Not at all, actually. I mean, most of like my suppliers are women. And I think there was a point that they said like Ghana has like the highest or second highest rate of women entrepreneurs in the world. There would be a woman in Ghana that works a full-time corporate job and still has their own business on the side. I see that quite a bit. I mean, the lady that produces shit for my store, she owns a bank and she still produces things to sell on her own. So for me, as a woman in business in Ghana, there hasn't been any like barriers to entry. I haven't come across, I haven't come across any like barriers, so to say. I think it's like easy for me to operate, most of the suppliers, like I said, most of them are women. The importers, most of them are women from my side of town, for retail goods, most of them are usually women. So I haven't had any issues that I would say. I think maybe um, getting men to work for you has been an issue, but getting men to work for you is always an issue. But just you starting, like you should be fine as a woman, I would say.
Oh, why is it an issue for men working for a woman?
How do I put this in an eloquent way? Getting Ghanaian men to work for you as a Ghanaian businesswoman, you have to become a man. I don't know, like the best way to say it. Like you have to kind of like step outside of like your femininity to like, demand that things get done. Because like in my opinion, I feel like they try to test you to see how far they could get, away from doing certain things. I mean, in the school I used to manage, it was always a battle, with the men, and they don't listen to your authority, they don't do this, they don't do that until like, kind of like show up in a way that I feel like is unnecessary, So getting Ghanaian men to work for you can be a challenge, but apart from that, even if you're paying them, it's still a challenge.
Okay, so let me ask another question, which I hear from a lot of female entrepreneurs, because I interview female entrepreneurs from all over Africa. If a woman is to approach a bank, the possibility of her getting a loan is lower than a man. What do you have to say about that?
I have tried. I didn't get it. I've tried like 3 banks. I didn't get loans. I feel like, again, there are people in charge over there, men. So I think that there's a level of trust they don't have. And they also don't believe in, I'll put it this way. In Ghana, right, male entrepreneurs are allowed to be aggressive as they want to be. But for the women, you're not, you're not really allowed to be that aggressive. So if I walked into the bank, which I did work into one bank, and it was all a bunch of men, the loan officers were all men. I gave them that. They asked me for collateral. I put it on it. I did everything. They came to see the shop. They came to see everything. And then in the end, they just denied me with no reason as to why they had denied me. And it happened a couple of times afterwards. So I just feel like they don't really trust or believe us in a way. Because I've seen a man, that I know sell an idea to like a bank, but I have actual proof that my concept works and I still wouldn't get my loan. So if you ask me what it is, I really don't know, apart from the fact that I feel like they don't trust that, we will work hard enough to repay them, or like, our businesses are profitable enough to like pay them. That's what I think it is. But honestly, I feel like if the loan officers were more women, we probably get loans. But we probably get loans, but the final authority in most cases are all men, and I don't think they buy it.
Do you think that will ever change in future, where women, will walk into banks or financial institutions, possibility of them getting a loan is much more higher?
The market women actually have a system like that. Because I deal with them a lot. The women that sell, in the markets, they have a system of their susu system where they take it. They all contribute and one person kind of like takes it and does whatever they want with their business, pays it back. So I feel like it's either we like, that are not in that market system, come up with our own fund, in a way for us to do that. I don't see the banking sector changing. I don't see the investments coming our way naturally. I feel like we're gonna have to create them. If it did, it would be great, because my goal for the big shop is to have like a convenience store model replicated, across Ghana. I want anybody at all to be able to take the model, and I could license it or franchise it to them, and they can come up with it on their own. Like I'll have it set up. It's like a business in a box, is what I'm thinking. And I know that I can't financially like come up with like $1 million or $500,000 to support the branches. And so I hope in time, the banking industry will look at the ecosystem and see that the women we are pulling our weight. We are, doing what we say we're gonna do. And I just hope it's different.
What do you think makes a woman a successful woman?
Oh, good question. I think every woman wants something different for their life. If my group of friends are anything to go by, I feel like every woman wants a different kind of life for themselves. So if you can maintain some sort of like your work is balanced with your actual life, I feel like that would make me a successful woman. Like if I was able to personally, I just got married like 2 years ago. I'm just like building my small family, and just like working. I have two businesses now. I'm trying to come up with a third this year, which is like something completely different. I feel like if I got to the point where I feel like, okay, I can rest, I would deem myself a successful woman. So it just depends on what your goals are in life. But I feel like if everyone could achieve like a balance between their work and their actual life, they would call themselves like, a successful woman.
All right, Nana, as we round up the interview, what's your advice to women all over the world who are watching, who want to be an entrepreneur like yourself, but feel the daily struggles of being a woman, who feel it's a man's world, who find it difficult getting financing and capital for the business? What's your advice to them?
Well, talking about the finance and the business, I mean, getting your operations started is a big deal. I had to work for a lot of years to save my money to do the things that I wanted to do. So I'm just saying, like, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you definitely need to save your money because you're going to need a lot of it. I know a lot of people talk about motivation, this and marketing, and all of that, starts with you having capital. So even if you're starting a zero down business, you still would need, some sort of capital, some sort of resources. So if you're about to start, you need to focus all your energy on making sure like you have the resources that you need to start the business and go for it. I always tell people like go for it. If it fails, it fails. If it does well, it'll do very well. But you have to try something.
Thank you, Nana, for being with us on the show. We really appreciate it. We look forward to interviewing again in future.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. And, thank you for bringing these stories. I hope it makes, someone's life a lot better today that we've met.
And so, viewers who are watching, do not forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend who knows a friend about Just for Women Africa. And to the next show from Nana and all the way in Accra, Ghana. It'll be bye.
Bye.